Samsy, Samsy. Hey guys, we got story time with TrailBot. We're coming to you from Dewey Bridge along the Colorado River near Moab. Today's story, Journey to the Center of the Earth. And I remember where we was at. We was almost finishing up chapter 8. And they were spending their last night with M. Fredrickson. When I say they, I mean Professor Hardwig, Harry, and the eiderdown hunter. And Harry couldn't understand a word because there was nobody there that spoke any language that he did. So let's just pick it up there. We'll figure out. We're gonna finish off chapter 8, and we'll easily move on. Let's just talk about this campground a little bit. I think I've already done it a couple of times, but I'm not too sure. So there's Big Ronnie. We'll pull out of there. That's a nice spot right there for bigger rigs. Oh yeah, it's perfect. So you can see coming up here the two big downsides of this campground is one, the garbage right there. There's a garbage truck coming right now, and they used to have to pick them out of there. At least they're picking up the whole canister now. And I don't know if you saw there, but there's garbage bags laying around it, and because this is basically the last BLM spot. There's the other problem. If you don't like motorcycles and ATVs and all that kind of stuff, this is probably not a good spot for you, because this is the staging area for a lot of the trailheads for the ATVs and UTVs and all of that TV kind of stuff. So like I say, if you don't like that, or occasionally, because this is the last spot along the way here, and one of the first spots where people put in for rafting, it's a very just an excellent spot to put in for rafting, and then they float towards Moab. Well, that means everybody's using the bathroom and dropping off the garbage and blah blah blah. So it generally gets a lot of traffic, and there can be at times things can get overwhelmed there. Oh hey, right up here on the right, just the other morning, there was probably people standing there right there. So tomorrow morning, from this video, things will look completely different. There's a marathon of some sorts, and that, all of a sudden in the middle of the night, like 30 porta potties show up. Anyway, that's a different video, so we'll get to that later. So here we are. We're boogieing out of the campground there, and we took a left on the 128, which means I guess we're going east. And somehow we're going east, but we're traveling north, and we'll hit the I-70 or get awfully close to it anyway. So let's just pick up this story here and find out where we're at. Our last evening was spent in a long conversation with M. Fredrickson, whom I liked very much, the more that I never expected to see him or anyone else again. After this agreeable way of spending an hour or so, I tried to sleep. In vain. With the exception of a few dozes, my night was miserable. At 5 o'clock in the morning, I was awakened from the only real half-hour's sleep of the night by the loud neighing of horses under my window. I hastily dressed myself and went down into the street. Hans was engaged in putting the finishing stroke on our baggage, which he did in a silent, quiet way that won my admiration. And yet he did it admirably well. My uncle wasted a great deal of breath in giving him directions. But worthy Hans took not the slightest notice of his words. At 6 o'clock, all our preparations were completed. Oh, we got construction coming up here. Ah, yeah. So now you gotta feed the monkey. So here you go.
Hey, I'm not sure that smells right. Is it supposed to smell like that? Here, let me check. Let me get a closer sniffer.
Verify wipes. You'll never have to worry again.
Excuse me, sir. What was that product again?
Verify wipes. Be verified. Never have to worry about it.
Verify wipes. Where do I find them?
All your leading retailers will have them.
Dempsey. Verify wipes. The Cadillac of wipes. The Cadillac of wipes. No. But some of you might get the reference. All right. At 6 o'clock, all our preparations were completed, and M. Fredrickson shook hands heartily with us. My uncle thanked him warmly in the Icelandic language for his kind hospitality, spoken truly from the heart. As for myself, I put together a few of my best Latin phrases and paid him the highest compliments I could. This fraternal and friendly duty performed, we sallied forth and mounted our horses. As soon as we were quite ready, M. Fredrickson advanced, and, by way of farewell, called after me in the words of Virgil words, which appeared to have been made for us travelers starting on an uncertain destination. Oh, boy, I wish I could read that. No. I'll do there's a part in quotes there it's English. I got a better shot at that one. Let's try it. And whichever way thou goest, may fortune follow. Nope, can't do it. Can't do the Latin part. Okay, chapter 9. That was chapter 8, so they own it now. They jumped on the horses, and that's it. They're cross country. They're heading towards Sneffels. Chapter 9. Our start. We meet with adventures by the way. The weather was overcast but settled when we commenced our adventures and perilous journey. We had neither to fear fatiguing heat nor drenching rain. It was, in fact, real tourist weather. As there was nothing I liked better than horse exercise, the pleasure of riding through an unknown country caused the early part of our enterprise to be particularly agreeable to me. I began to enjoy the exhilarating delight of traveling, a life of desire, gratification, and liberty. The truth is that my spirits rose so rapidly that I began to be indifferent to what had once appeared to be a terrible journey. After all, I said to myself, what do I risk? Simply to take a journey through a curious country, to climb a remarkable mountain, and if the worst comes to the worst, to descend into the crater of an extinct volcano. Nothing. What could go wrong? There could be no doubt that this was all this terrible Saknussemm had done. As to the existence of a gallery or of subterraneous passages leading into the interior of the earth, the idea was simply absurd, the hallucination of a distempered imagination. All, then, that may be required of me, I will do cheerfully, and will create no difficulty. It was just before we left Reykjavik that I came to this decision. Hans, our extraordinary guide, went first, walking with a steady, rapid, and unvarying step. Our two horses, which, with luggage, followed, of their own accord.
without requiring whip or spur. My uncle and I came behind, cutting a very tolerable figure upon our small but vigorous animals. Iceland is one of the largest islands in Europe. It contains 30,000 square miles of surface and has about 70,000 inhabitants. Geographers have divided it into 4 parts, and we have to cross the southwest quarter, which in the vernacular is called Sydvester Fjordger. Yeah, not right, but that's up to you guys to deal with that one. Hans, on taking his departure from Reykjavik, had followed the line of the sea, which we took our way through poor and sparse meadows, which made a desperate effort every year to show a little green. They very rarely succeed in a good show of yellow. The rugged summits of the rocky hills were dimly visible on the edge of the horizon through the misty fogs. Every now and then, some heavy flakes of snow showed conspicuous in the morning light, while certain lofty and pointed rocks were first lost in the gray low clouds, their summits clearly visible above, like jagged reefs rising from a tumultuous sea. Tumultuous? Nope. Troublous sea. Every now and then, a spur of rock came down through the arid ground, leaving us scarcely room to pass. Our horses, however, appeared not only well acquainted with the country, but a kind of instinct knew which was the best road. My uncle had not even the satisfaction of urging forward his steed by whip, spur, or voice. It was utterly useless to show any signs of impatience. I could not help smiling to see him look so big on this little horse. His long legs now and then touching the ground made him look like a 6-footed centaur. Ha ha! Good beast, he would cry. I assure you, Henry, that I begin to think no animal is more intelligent than an Icelandic horse. Snow tempest, impracticable roads, rocks, icebergs, nothing stops him. He is brave, he is sober, he is safe. He never makes a false step, never glides or slips from his path. I dare to say that if any river, any fjord has to be crossed, and I have no doubt there will be many, you will see him enter the water without hesitation, like an amphibious animal, and reach the opposite side in safety. We must not, however, attempt to hurry him. We must allow him to have his own way, and I will undertake to say that between us we shall do our 10 leagues a day.
Wow. So, yeah, we up on the top of this plateau now. I guess maybe they might call that the Colorado Plateau. And if you're looking for super accurate information and that kind of thing, well, you know, I might be able to help you out, point you to a website that might be able to provide some of that for you, but we just gonna roll with it here. And call it the Colorado Plateau. I know there's nothing up here. It's pretty wide open, and this is where the free camping is. If you know, I suppose the closest town would probably be Grand Junction now, that would have any kind of services. So if you want to leave your fifth wheel out here in the middle of nowhere, and while you leave for 4 hours, didn't seem like a bad idea. All right, where were we? We may do so, the 10 leagues in a day, right? Because all of a sudden he's
He's a horse expert on these Icelandic horses. We may do so, was my reply. But what about our worthy guide? I have not the slightest anxiety about him. Those sort of people go ahead without knowing even what they are about. Look at Hans. He moves so little that it is impossible for him to become fatigued. Besides, if he were to complain of weariness, he could have the loan of my horse. I should have a violent attack of the cramp if I were not to have some sort of exercise. My arms are all right, but my legs are getting a little stiff. All this while we were advancing at a rapid pace. The country we had reached was already nearly a desert. Here and there could be seen an isolated farm, some solitary boar or Icelandic house built of wood, earth, fragments of lava. Looking like beggars on the highway of life, these wretched and miserable huts excited in us such pity that we felt half disposed to leave alms at every door. In this country there are no roads. Paths are nearly unknown, and vegetation, poor as it was, slowly as it reached perfection, soon obliterated all traces of the few travelers who passed from place to place. Nevertheless, the division of the province, situated only a few miles from the capital, is considered one of the best cultivated and most thickly populated in all Iceland. What then must be the state of the less known and more distant parts of the island? After traveling fully half a Danish mile, we had met neither a farmer at the door of his hut, nor even a wandering shepherd with his wild and savage flock. A few stray cows and sheep were only seen occasionally. What then must we expect when we come to the upheaved regions, to the districts broken and roughened from volcano eruptions and subterraneous commotions? We were to learn this all in good time. I saw, however, on consulting the map, that we avoided a good deal of this rough country by following the winding and desolate shores of the sea. In reality, the great phenomena are concentrated in the interior of the island. Their horizontal layers or strata of rocks piled upon the other, eruptions of basaltic origin, and streams of lava have given this country a kind of supernatural reputation.
All right, I know we gotta be getting close to this thing by now. Oh yeah, okay. So we'll just I think we're just going to leave it right there. Well, how close are we? Oh yeah, we're not going to get much further than that. So we're just gonna ramble our way out of it here now. Where did we okay, so we're still traveling, and the little horses are fantastic. Little did I expect, however, the spectacle which awaited us when we reached the peninsula of Sneffels were agglomerations of nature's ruins, forms a kind of terrible chaos. Well, I'm glad we're going to leave that and redo it, because I don't even know what the heck happened there. All right, so let's just call it right there. Thank you so much for coming along. Until next time, Sam C. And we'll just leave you with a couple of seconds of big old Rosie. Oh, 'cause that makes me feel good right there.